Welcome back. We're going to see how Battery and Forklift SA did on the BizWheel. Mike?
Sean, on the marketing side, I've given you a red. You're an entrepreneur, you've been around the block a few times. Try to charge those batteries, get a strategy in place, and move things up a bit. On the sales side, I've given you an orange. You understand the different target markets, you understand where the money's to be made, you just need to put things in place to get this happening.
All right, Thane, your turn.
From a financial perspective, Sean, you've got so much experience, and I like to see that you know gross profit and markups and all those good things, but they're all sitting in your head. They need to be documented to be part of your business plan. So for that, I'm going to give you an orange for finances. Administration, you've got systems in place, but a highly qualified entrepreneur like yourself shouldn't be shuffling papers. You want to get an administrative person to help you, and therefore, orange for you on that score as well.
Sean, are these the kind of results you were expecting, or are there any surprises, do you think?
I would think it's a fair and honest assessment. I'd like to get some solutions.
Okay, well, that's why we're here. You know, Sean has a very clear idea of where he wants to be. All he needs is a plan. Thane, where does he start?
Andile, managing a business without a business plan is like walking around your house in the dark. You can do it for a while, but eventually you're going to bump your head and kick your toe. So I'd like to see Sean start with a business plan that begins with the end in mind. And that business plan will cover things like what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your threats. But I also want you to focus on your finances, on your staff requirements, your equipment, and of course, you've got to have sales and marketing. But this 3-year plan or 5-year plan is wonderful. I need you to drill that down into a monthly plan. So take your business plan and make it your monthly operating plan to cover all of those things, including the sales and marketing, of course, Mike.
Well, speaking of sales and marketing, I know you'd like to move more into retail, and that requires a whole different mind shift. Sean, a lot of entrepreneurs are unsure where to place their business. What should they be concentrating on? They're often faced with the dilemma of should they be working in a space of where they love what they're doing? Should they be working in a space where they're delivering to the customers what the customer needs? Should they be doing something that the customers will pay for? Or should they be doing something that they're best at? And this often causes a dilemma. So what happens then is if you can find that space of where you're best at and what you love doing, that's where you'll find your passion. What you're best at and what your customer will pay for, your career, and so it goes on. And in between the three of them, what you're best at, what you love doing, what your customer needs, that's where, for example, you'll get fulfillment or contentment or comfort or security. But if you can find that space somewhere in the middle, that's where you'll find bliss. If you can find that space where you love what you're doing, your customers need what you're doing, they're prepared to pay for it, and you're the best at it, that's where you'll have a successful business. Now, I know myself, I've had a flat battery before. I feel absolutely hopeless and useless when I walk into the battery center. The guy says to me, "What's wrong?" I say, "It's dead. It's a grudge purchase. I don't want to spend my money." If you want to get into this space, you have to position yourself as an expert, a friend of the customer. That's where it all sits. So the first thing that you need to do is to change your signage, or at least put some signage up there that says Car and Battery Advice Center. Be the one person who offers advice on this. A couple of other things you could do. You need to build a website. On the website, have all of this. When we were sitting and talking, you told me that there are 32 different faults that can happen in a battery. The dead cell, the open circuit, the sulfated battery, the stratification, all these things. I walk in, I know nothing about it. If I saw a poster on the wall that said, these are the possible faults, here's what you need to do about it, I would feel, this guy's on my side. This is where I want to be. These little things will make such a difference in the customer's mind. They'll position you as their friend. That's what it's all about. Another thing, those corporate clients that you've got, when you go out there to do the sale, take a sales presentation with you. Take the trouble to develop a very careful sales presentation that talks to them in their language. Why you? Why would they need it? Why they shouldn't do it themselves? How much can you save them? How much time? All that in the presentation. I think you're going to find that changing all the time. So another thing you need to do for your customers is develop what's known as a property walkthrough. It's a checklist of everything. You come in the morning, you put yourself in the mind of the customer, you go, wow, is there a mess? No, tick it off. Are all my lights working? Tick it off. Are there magazines for people to read? All these sort of things that might impact on a customer make a huge difference, change the whole face of your business for you.
So we've talked about all the things the customer can see, but then what about all the things the customers can't see?
entrepreneurs need to be very dogmatic about the efficient use of their costs and their expenses and their time. Now, what concerns me a little bit about your business, Sean, is staff are seen to be an expense. Staff are actually an investment. And because they're an investment, you need, as an owner, to get a return on that investment. Now, some people say, well, maybe I should get 3 or 4 times their salary as a return in sales. But what you're not doing is giving them specific targets as to sales and specific targets as to activities. So I'd really like you to concentrate on making your staff costs work for you. Now, your own time is also important. You're so experienced, yet you're sitting and shuffling papers in the office. You need to get out there. Now, they say, well, but then if I get out there and I've got to employ staff, I'm going to be losing money. No, it's not like that, because what you've got to do is calculate how much more business you're going to make by being out in the customers' faces, as opposed to the cost of a staff member that's doing your administration.
Okay, well, Sean,
How do you feel about it?
I would think it's a fair and honest assessment.
here's another frequently asked question from the Nedbank Business Management Seminars. What is the best way to incentivize staff? Thane, your advice?
When incentivizing staff, Andile, it's very important to bear in mind that there's a cost to you and a benefit to you, and these should be balanced. So the other angle to this is that staff aren't only incentivized by remuneration, they can also be incentivized by rewards and recognition. So I like to give a bit of commission when sales targets are attained, maybe even smaller regular rewards like movie tickets. And what about a very inexpensive thing like an Employee of the Month award every month or every week?
You know, another thing we shouldn't forget is that most people believe they're underpaid. The problem comes in the day you feel undervalued. Show your staff that you value them. That'll take you most of the way.
Great stuff, guys. Consumers have voted it the best steakhouse in Johannesburg for 8 years in a row. When we come back, we'll meet one of the owners of this legendary restaurant and ask him to share his recipe for keeping customers happy. Don't go away.